Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from Red State dated April 13th, and it says, The Economist, which is a magazine if you don't know, declares Europe the new land of the free, and holy cow, the replies. And I bring up the author's name here, Banshee. Follow him. I do already follow him on X. Excellent follow as well. Get it? Excellent. But yeah, The Economist is one of those kind of publications that has gone down the path of far leftism, so they've kind of lost a lot of their mojo. Because I remember reading The Economist, when I worked in a job like 25 years ago. It just looked cool, had some interesting articles, wasn't like a regular reader of it, but this job got it as a subscription. I was like, yeah, check it out every so often. But now when I see The Economist, I'm just like, oh, it's going to be like the National Enquirer, isn't it? So it says, when does rank illiberalism become freedom? When mainstream press outlets need another way to proclaim that Orange Man is bad. So The Economist did just that on Sunday morning, releasing a think piece entitled, Europe is the actual land of the free now. Now, this is one of those things, like I just put up a video probably a couple days ago from when you're listening to this, that had the dude from CNN that was like, there's no such thing as left-wing violent or domestic terrorism. And it was like, dude, you paying attention like at all? This is kind of the same thing where it's like, how can you say that with a straight face? Like if you're a stand-up comedian saying that, you'd get a huge reaction from the crowd. Everyone would be laughing with you. You say it and you're all serious about it, people are going to be like, what are you talking about? So it says, the picture used to read, or to head the article, again, I can read, a cartoon of an EU-flagged boat hauling the Statue of Liberty away with a sign reading, Gone to Europe, on its empty pedestal. Get it? The United States is no longer a democracy, so our European betters have come and repossessed it, signifying their place as the true providers of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And here's the embedded tweet from The Economist. We'll skip down over that. So the author says, I'll spare you the boring details, but the author essentially uses the turn of phrase, the thing about Europe is, to start each paragraph, admitting some of its flaws while framing them as preferable to America's constitutional republic. You see, while there's no right to free speech in essentially any European nation, what you don't get is that they have actual free speech. Try to wrap your mind around this argument, so let's see what the argument is. Deep breath. Said, the thing about Europe is that it lacks an absolutist attachment to free speech. See how judges in Romania and France derailed the careers of hard-right politicians that are not really hard-right, but okay, who have convinced themselves, with little evidence, that it was their ideology rather than their law-breaking that got them in trouble. No, it was their ideology, and I think we know that. It says, yet to many Europeans, the idea that free expression is under threat seems odd. Europeans can say almost anything they want. Look at England, both in theory and in practice. Europe's universities never became hotbeds of speech policing by one breed of culture warrior or another. Ours did, but by the side you're defending. Okay, says you can express a controversial view on any European campus, outside Hungary at least. So they got to throw in their dig at Hungary because, oh no, right-wingers, without fear of losing your tenure or your grant. I'm going to press X to doubt on that, but maybe I'm wrong. It says no detention centers await foreign students who hold the wrong views on Gaza. It's not that they're the wrong views. They're openly expressing support for a terrorist organization. Do you not understand the difference between those two things? And if you don't, you're a moron. It says news outfits are not sued for interviewing opposition politicians. Where did that happen? It says law firms are not compelled to kowtow to presidents as penance for having worked for their political foes. So we're making stuff up now, are we? All right, let's keep going here. So yeah, and I can see the cherry picking line right here, but that's what I was starting to think. It says you have to love the cherry picking and glossing over the examples given. No one has lost their tenure or a grant simply for expressing a controversial view. Rather, some universities have failed to uphold federal law regarding pro-terror activists illegally occupying parts of campuses while screaming for the genocide of others. The same concept applies to Mahmoud Khalil, who is the foreign student mentioned in the above excerpt. Okay. Says he didn't just hold the wrong views on Gaza, he has connections to terrorist groups and was using a green card to provide support for them. That's a violation of the terms of entry. Says regardless, though, is it true that Europeans can say almost anything they want, both in theory and in practice? Let's check in with the Germans to find out. Yeah, the Germans are another country. Guys, in Germany, we know what you guys have done before. You're heading down that path again, and it doesn't lead to good places, as evidenced by, 2 freaking world wars. Okay, so let's not do it again. So it says, I don't know, the interview, who's this, wait, hold on, Ballin, who's Ballin? So, say Josephine Balancio of Hate Aid. I don't know what that is, but okay. So it says, so she says free speech needs boundaries. No, it does not. And in the case of Germany, these boundaries are part of our constitution. Without boundaries, a very small group of people can rely on endless freedom to say anything they want, while everyone else is scared and intimidated. That's called freedom, Germany. I know you guys don't like freedom. You like control. But that's called freedom. You're allowed to do that. And the interviewer says, and your fear is that if people are freely attacked online, that they'll withdraw from the discussion. Balin says, this is not only a fear, it is already taking place. Already half of the internet users in Germany are afraid to express their political opinions, and they rarely participate in public debates anymore. Half of the internet users. It's probably because you're scaring them away. Oh, and I saw this, that, yeah, it says, watch this. This is ridiculous. Yeah, it says posting hate speech online, which hate speech isn't a thing. It's illegal. Laws enforced. Yeah, they go after people who basically say mean things. It's kind of like, Britain, as I said before. And yeah, I'd say, and then Stephen Miller, again, great follow on there. I think I might follow Matt Whitlock as well. But Stephen Miller says, yeah, you can be in prison for a meme in Europe. And so, yeah. So this isn't just theoretical either. Take what's happening in the United Kingdom as an example. Our closest ally arrested a 64-year-old woman for silently praying outside an abortion clinic. That is a true story. So the 64-year-old woman was convicted Friday of standing near an abortion clinic in southern England and holding a sign saying, "Here to talk if you want." The case provides further evidence of an erosion of freedom of expression in the United Kingdom, which has recently become a diplomatic issue with the United States. As it should. We should absolutely be decoupling from them and say, like, if you guys are going to persecute your citizens this way, like, we don't want anything to do with you. Because during the 2024 incident that was brought before the court, Livia Tosis, I'm going to butcher that part, so we'll say Livia T. Bolt. Yeah, that works. T-Bolt, there you go. Was standing silently holding the sign and having consensual conversations with people passing by, according to her legal tape. So she was talking to people. It says, however, she was within that, what is called a buffer zone, which criminalizes the influencing of people within 150 meters, about 500 feet in Americanese, of an abortion clinic in the UK. It says, isn't it weird that The Economist didn't mention that in their article? No, it's not weird at all. It's completely intentional. Or the person just didn't know about that. Or how about the case where two men were arrested for posting negative views about immigration, accusing of stirring up racial hatred? Yes, because nothing says stirring up racial hatred like, thousands upon thousands of your young women being, let's just say, assaulted in a way that would be deemed inappropriate by a certain, like, one particular ethnicity of people. Yeah, nothing like that at all, guys, huh? This both received over a year in prison. In an unrelated incident, another man was arrested and charged for burning a Quran. That should be freedom of speech as well. I'm not a fan of that, but if somebody did that to the Bible, they should be allowed to do that, and I don't like that either. But that's freedom of expression, and I think in the United States you're actually allowed to do that. And again, I don't like it, but you're allowed to. It's like burning the American flag. You're allowed to do it. I think that's BS, but I don't. But the law says you're allowed to do it, then you can do it. Earlier this month, Greater Manchester Police arrested a man on suspicion of a racially aggravated public order offense for publicly burning a Quran. An assistant chief constable said police made a swift arrest at the time and recognized the right people have for freedom of expression, but when this crosses into intimidation to cause harm or distress, we will always look to take action when it was reported to us. Now, let's not go after those grapists. No, we're not going to do that. But if you, burn a holy book of some kind, whether, again, it's a Bible or a Quran, then no, we're going to go after you, especially if it's a Quran. They're not going to go after anybody that burns a Bible. In fact, the police will probably be there to cheer it on in England. It says Europe has become obsessed with combating what they call Islamophobia, while Islamist migrants create no-go zones and commit heinous crimes. In Sweden, one Iraqi refugee, yeah, I remember this guy. Yes, there's his name right there. I'm pointing to it. You can't see me pointing. Salwan Momika. I thought that was his name. It says one Iraqi refugee was assassinated by Muslims for burning the Quran. And I think he did it, I think they killed him while he was on a live stream or something, or it was right after one. It was something like that. So what did the Swedish government do? It charged another man who also burned the Quran with incitement. No, I'm not kidding. So you guys have your priorities completely backwards. Outside of the UK, Europe's restrictions on blasphemy are growing and show no signs of stopping. Indeed, the Manchester man arrested for burning a Quran did so in response to the January 29th assassination of Sweden of Iraqi refugee Salwan Momika, known for his well-publicized and controversial public Quran burnings. And I think he had to get he did a lot of those, and I think he had to get like a permit for it, and had like the cops come and watch him and stuff like that, because obviously people were going to try to off him. It says, just after Momika's killing, a Swedish court found Salwan Najem, another Iraqi refugee who burned Qurans with Momika, guilty of incitement against an ethnic group. It was his own freaking ethnic group. It says Momika faced similar charges, which were only dropped upon his death. It says the United Nations Human Rights Council, who is like some of the worst countries on the planet, are a part of that Human Rights Council. I think it's like North Korea, Cuba, Russia, China, and name another bad country that has a really bad human rights record. I can't remember who it is, but it's another one that it's like, really? Anyway, it says, so they encourage these kinds of prosecutions, passing a 2023 resolution advising countries to address, prevent, and prosecute acts and advocacy of religious hatred. Denmark did so, enacting a law criminalizing desecration of holy texts later that year. But that's not freedom of expression then. So that's why we differ from you guys. So yeah, I won't be taking my cues on free speech from the Eurotrash, nor will the United States be relinquishing its earned title as the land of the free from them. To make such a suggestion is absolutely ludicrous and relies on a willful ignorance of just how quashed basic rights have been and remain in Europe. America remains the freest nation on earth. Does that mean you get to keep your student visa if you support terrorism? No, but to cite that as proof that Europe is more liberal on free speech is laughable. The Economist should be shamed. And that is correct. The Economist is, I don't think percentages go that high to explain how much of a percentage they are wrong about this, but to say they're wrong is just, that's an understatement. But anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you agree that Europe is now the new land of the free, or is that something that you'd point and laugh at? Let me know in those comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.